Hi, my name is Miss Hodson, and I am going to be your virtual teacher as we are guiding through our unit of study over the next many weeks. Our topic is going to be focused around the development of the adolescent teenager brain and the effects of screen time and exercise and all of these different things on the development of the brain today, in your youth, and in the long term as we age in life. So this is a huge part of what we'll be doing, and in the very end, we will have you develop an opinion about screen time and its effects on the adolescent brain. You'll be writing and advocating for a public service announcement, and we'll be working toward that over the next many weeks. This is going to be lesson 1, and I'm going to guide you through this. So there will be times in this video where you will pause and you will do a task. You might go read for a period of time and then come back to the video. You might pause the video in order to have a conversation with someone at the house. And so there are lots of times where you'll want to push pause and then play again. So you'll get the hang of that as we go on. The guiding questions around not just our lesson today, but our entire topic of study over the next many weeks is, number 1, how is the adolescent brain changing? And number 2, how can I make an informed decision about an issue like screen time and then effectively argue my position? This is what we're going to be reading about and writing about, thinking and talking over the next many weeks. So today, the materials that you will need is printed. You have packets, and the name of our first article for lesson 1 and week 1 is Curiosity Changes the Brain to Boost Memory and Learning. So you can go to your printed packet and find that 3-page article. You'll also need lesson 1, and I'm your guide in that lesson. And you'll need your lesson 1 note catcher and a pencil. So I'll wait for you to kind of locate all of those items and we'll get started. Pause the video if you need a little extra time to locate those materials. Great. We're going to begin with your learning targets today, and there are 2. The first one is, I can cite several pieces of text-based evidence to support an analysis of an article. So we're going to read an article, and you're going to be looking for evidence that is in that text, several pieces of it. Secondly, I can use a variety of strategies to determine the meaning of unknown words and phrases. So instead of just reading right past a word that you might not know or understand, we're going to develop the habit of pausing. We're going to write those words down, and we're going to try and develop strategies to determine what those words actually mean from the reading and from the resources at home. So right now, we are actually going to read the article, and you can do this with your family member, maybe a caregiver or friend. I am actually going to do a read aloud of the article, and I would ask that you have your print copy in front of you, and I will be reading the article aloud, and your eyes should be on print so that you are seeing what I am reading. If you don't feel that this is helping you, you can pause the video, read it, and then listen to me. But the goal is that you have your eyes on the print as I am reading the text. So the name of your article, I have my print copy here, is Curiosity Changes the Brain to Boost Memory and Learning. So I'm going to read this now. What happens inside our brains when our curiosity is sparked? A study published in 2014 gives us some ideas about what takes place. Participants in the study were asked to rate how curious they were to find out the answer to a specific trivia question. One question they were asked was, what does the term dinosaur actually mean? The participants were then placed in a magnetic resonance imaging machine. An MRI machine measures brain activity. They were shown the trivia question again, followed by an image of a person's face. They were asked to make a specific decision about the person, and then participants were shown the answer to the trivia question, which in the case of the dinosaur was, quote, terrible lizard, end quote. After the MRI scan, the participants completed a surprise test on the answers to the trivia questions. They were also tested on their ability to recognize the faces shown during the scan. The research had 3 major findings. The first was that when people were curious to learn the answer to the question, they are better at learning that information. Most surprising, though, was that participants had greater recall of the completely unrelated information, such as the face, shown at the same time. It seems that in the curious mind, more information is taken in no matter the subject. Amy Recklet is a psychology expert at the University of New South Wales. She shared her thoughts about this first key finding. Quote, this shows that when the brain is engaged more by making a task relevant and interesting, people learn more, end quote. The second finding is that activity increases in the hippocampus when curiosity is stimulated. The hippocampus is the region of the brain associated with memory. The third finding is that there is increased activity in the regions of the brain associated with reward when curiosity is stimulated. Fiona Comfort is a researcher who studies how the emotions you experience during an event determine how likely you are to remember it. Comfort said that the work in this study agrees with her findings. She also said that other motivational states, such as curiosity, also influence whether information is likely to be remembered. Motivations matter. Behavioral neuroscience is the science of how a person's brain influences their behavior. Ji Hwan Kim is a behavioral neuroscientist. She said more could be done to see whether the different levels of curiosity and different motivations have an impact on memory and learning. Extrinsic motivation describes behavior that is driven by goals that come from outside a person, like when a person is motivated by the promise of a reward or the threat of being punished. Intrinsic motivation describes behavior that is driven by rewards that come from inside a person. Intrinsic motivation is when a person does something because it is naturally satisfying to them. Curiosity is one example of intrinsic motivation. Kim said scientists should be trying to figure out if people with low curiosity respond better to extrinsic motivation. They should also work more to see if people with high intrinsic motivation are better left to their own devices, she said. Quote, finding such relationships and how such intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations may change due to neurological disorders will have more important practical implications, end quote, Kim said. Neurological disorders are diseases suffered by the brain, spinal cord, and nerves that connect them. Alzheimer's and dementia are examples of neurological disorders. The diseases make it hard for people to remember things and think. Most people with the diseases are elderly. COMFOR adds that research into extrinsic rewards on memory is an important research area. She said that other research has found that the benefits of intrinsic reward and extrinsic reward are not additive, end quote. In other words, she said, quote, providing additional external rewards when an individual is already self-motivated is unlikely to have any extra benefit on memory, end quote. But external rewards could be useful to people who are trying to learn something that isn't interesting, or if they don't have enough self-motivation. Richelt said that, quote, stimulating curiosity is really important across all ages, from schools to the workplace to elderly care, end quote. She said that stimulating curiosity can help children who struggle to learn. It can increase their motivation. She noted that the new research is particularly interesting when it comes to people with Alzheimer's or dementia. Quote, carrying out engaging tasks can help people remember things that are important and also encourage new learning, end quote, she said. That is our read aloud of this week's article. So this is about the brain and what we know about if we're curious about things, if we're intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. And we will be referring back to that reading throughout the week. So now I would like you to think about and remember to think about these questions, not just as you read, but now that you're done with the reading. What do you think that article is mostly about? And what did you learn about the brain from the article? As you think about that, I'd like you to go have a conversation with a family member or caregiver or friend to talk about the following questions. What happens inside our brains when our curiosity is sparked? How does motivation affect our ability to learn and improve our memory? And I encourage you to think of an example of something you remember and learn more easily because you are interested in the topic. I want you to go have that conversation and pause the video, and then you can come on back. That's great. So now I would like you to turn to your lesson OneNote catcher in your printed packet. And what we're going to do is draw a picture of the three major findings of the research outlined in the article. And then you can go back to the reading and take notes on those lines below the picture and draw a picture. And also write down any words or any notes that you want to regarding the article itself. So you'll see that you have a 2-page note catcher. The first page has a chart, kind of a box chart at the top, where the first, second, and third finding, you'll kind of write those words in those boxes. So you're holding like, what is the first finding? What is the second one? What is the third one? And then draw a picture of what that means to you around interest and curiosity. Just be creative. The rest of those blank lines are for you to hold your thinking about this article, maybe a couple of notes on vocabulary that you might not have known, or notes about details around the research itself. This is going to take you about 15 minutes. So you can pause the video and come back when your note catcher is filled up. Great. Good work today. This was a longer reading than typical everyday amounts of reading. This was the beginning of the article, and our first lesson of every week will have a new article, all on brain research, all on screen time and technology and how it affects the adolescent brain. So there will be 9 articles total. And at this point, after you do that reading, it's read aloud for day 1 for this lesson, and then it'll be referred to in your other lessons this week. You'll take a quiz one day, you'll be doing some writing. And then at this point, I would have you share your work from your note catcher with someone and tell them what you drew or what you wrote about, and also what you learned from this article today. After you complete this assignment, remember to read a book for 20 minutes. You might read with a family member or by yourself, but reading is the key to everything. So I hope you find something fantastic to spend time reading, not just the article, but beyond the article. And then our last task every day is to do a little fluency practice by using a timer. You could use a cell phone, or maybe you have a kitchen timer on the microwave, or you could have someone count to about 60 seconds, like 1 minute, and read the passage article for 1 minute and mark where you get to, and count the number of words and put them at the top of the article, at the top of the page. And we'll be doing this every day. It's great fluency practice, and it helps reinforce all of this information into your brain. So again, this is Miss Hudson. It's really wonderful to be working with you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.